MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, talking up Clemson, national champions. Obviously, we need to talk Clemson football, and certainly one of the better ways that I can think of it is to bring on a Pigskin Pete, a guy that I have tried to get on here a number of times. We have miscommunicated, misconnected, more like it, a number of times. Can't get the video working today, but definitely want to hear from Pigskin. So we got him on the phone right here. Pigskin Pete, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Mark? Glad we can finally hook up, even if it's only over the phone.
Absolutely. Just so I can hear you. It's loud and clear. So I got you.
All right. Good.
So following the college football playoff and the issue concerning Dexter Lawrence and his suspension, I am guessing that that started the whole conversation regarding how prevalent is this on the football team in the football program. And Dabo Swinney was asked about it. And this is kind of where you come into play because Brad Crawford, he's a writer, I believe, for 247 Sports. I believe that's his platform. I've had him on maybe 6 or 8 times here, but it's been a long time. And I don't know him personally, except to communicate over the YouTube Live and to talk football. He seemed like a decent guy, but again, we don't have a personal relationship. But let's pick it up from there. So Dabo Swinney said something in regards to this topic. Brad Crawford took off on it, made it something that it wasn't. Certainly looks like clickbait to you and others, and that's where we stand. So what was reported that was speculative and not necessarily accurate? And what got you worked up?
Yeah, well, what got me worked up was not the article itself, because the article itself didn't say much other than what Swinney and the Clemson staff have been saying since the first day that they announced this, before the Notre Dame game at the playoffs, is that 3 players tested positive for a banned substance. They asked the players if, they had taken anything. Of course, they said no. And who knows, I'm assuming that, I'm not saying that they didn't know they took something.
Sure.
But the report from Brad Crawford, the thing that got me worked up is the headline of the article, not what was in the article. Because the headline of the article read as if Dabo Swinney admits that they may have accidentally given their players some sort of banned substance. And if you read the article, it says the same thing that he said in the press conference before the Notre Dame game and that was, we don't know where it came from. It could have come from anywhere. And that's exactly the same thing he said. And they said, well, could you have mistakenly given your players something? He said, well, we're not ruling anything out because we don't know where it came from. And he did go on to say also that all the supplements that they give their players from the training staff are all NCAA approved substances. So if it did come from one of those substances, then it was something that was approved by the NCAA. But the headline is what really got me going, is because I went to lunch at work last week, and I was sitting there eating my lunch by myself, and I heard the guy at the table next to me, and he was talking about it. He said, "Did you hear Dabo Swinney admitted to giving his players PEDs?" And that's the thing I have a problem with, is that people read headlines and they don't read the whole article, and then they sort of run with it. And so I didn't have a problem with the article. I just had a problem with the way he worded the headline. And he did not put the headline in quotations because he was not quoting Dabo, because Dabo didn't say those exact words.
So what you just said is the real world. This is what happens is, I am going to guess, and this is just a guess, but it's an educated guess, that more than 90% of information that's taken in by, in this case, sports fans, is off of headlines. They don't read the article. They just look at a headline, and we look at bottom lines on the TV networks. We look at headlines. We gather our information from little blurbs. And some situations are much more complicated than that and require an explanation. But that's what our world is in social media and in the information world. It's a quick blurb and grab it and go. And I think we all have a responsibility. I'm sure you do. I do. We all do in the media and I take it seriously, to make the title that I put on the videos representative. Now, there's a difference between saying, hey, I want to make this title exciting. I want to make it attractive so people are going to click on this, but just so it's representative of what's in the video or in the article, there's no issue with that. But once you cross that line and make it something that it's not just to get people to click on it, then there's a problem.
Right. And listen, what I do on YouTube, you probably already know this, is I a lot of times what I'm trying to do is incite people to be furious at me. So I'm not completely above the board and consider myself to be a real hard-nosed facts journalist. I mean, I do a lot of parody and a lot of stretching of the facts myself, but I don't work for 247 Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you work for a publication like that, you probably should have a little bit of integrity. I mean, at least I don't hide what I'm trying to do.
Yep.
And but somebody like that probably needs to be a little bit more careful about what they say. Now, listen, the guy, I don't know the guy. You said you've had him on a few times. He might be a great guy. I don't know. But he knew what he was doing when he made that headline, and he certainly got the reaction that he was looking for, and that was a lot of clicks and a lot of shares and stuff on social media, and it really brought 247 Sports a lot of traffic to their site.
Well, Pixie and Pete, you just drew a line that has to be drawn and should be drawn, and at least you say and state it out there and throw it out there. This is what I do. This is who I am. This is what my channel's all about. And we got too many people, and I'll point to the news media actually in the news, not the sports news, but in the news, that have completely blurred the lines, and you don't know what you're watching anymore. There should be a distinction between this is news that's reported because these are facts. This is the situation. We're neutral. We're presenting the facts versus we've got commentators, analysts that want to be able to state their opinion and do whatever they want. Those are two different things. The news media has been completely blurred. That's all mixed together, and it's incomprehensible to try to determine what's what, and then that's spilled into the sports world, and that's what we have.
Right. And I think there's a pretty clear distinction. When somebody's watching one of my videos, I think that, well, most of them, unless they haven't seen a video before, can tell whenever I'm just trying to incite, some sort of a reaction from somebody, or when I'm being serious. And when I made that video about Brad Crawford and the article that he wrote, or the headline that he wrote rather, I was trying to be serious, and I was trying to point out something that I considered to be serious. Now, probably the very next video I made was probably something completely ridiculous, and sometimes people can't tell the difference. But again, I'm just the guy who's doing a blog or a podcast, a video podcast from my house. I don't think people take me that seriously. But if I was to get hired by ESPN or Fox Sports or 247 Sports or somebody, I think that I would maybe take what I'm doing a little bit more serious and try to be above the board with it.
Absolutely. Pigskin Pete, unfortunately, we only have him for a couple minutes here, and I just wanted to hit this since it was something that was hot off the presses in regards to something that's transpired here in the last week or two. We'll have to hit you up soon, get you back on here, look at that 2019 recruiting class, look at spring football coming up, see what you're going to be looking at when you look at Clemson football, coaching staff changes, the schedule for 2019, the whole deal.
Yeah, anytime. And there's lots to talk about with Clemson football. So anytime you want to have me on, I'll be here.
Yeah, you guys, I'm sure, available at any time at this point. You guys have nothing to do but brag. There's nothing going wrong. It's all good.
Well, other than this
this situation,
thing
sure.
With, yeah, but other than that, yeah, it's definitely bragging season, and they call it bragging rights for a reason. So that's what I'm going to spend the next 6 months or so doing is bragging and probably pissing some people off.
And why not? 15-0. There is nothing that can be negatively stated about Clemson football on the field in 2018. 15-0. Once you had your quarterback in play, you dominated everybody, including the team that everybody thought was the best team. And when I say everybody, almost everybody thought was the best team.
Yeah, and the scary thing is we're getting almost the entire offense back. The defense is a question mark, although we'll get into this later. I know I could go on for an hour about this, but we're replacing 7 starters on defense, but really most of the guys coming in there are not freshmen. They've been on the team, and the only reason they weren't starting is because they were sitting behind 5-star NFL players for the most part. So next year's team should be just in line to get back in the playoffs and maybe make a repeat, or at least make a run at repeating.
All right, Pigskin Pete covers Clemson football, and you just got to join him to find out what it's all about. So you catch Pigskin Pete right here on YouTube. Again, is Pigskin Pete talking up Clemson football. Pigskin, again, my apologies for us going back and forth and wasting time trying to get this worked out on video, but fortunately we're able to at least get something on. We'll track you down soon to talk some Clemson football.
Yeah, I'll work with my IT department, and maybe next time you can get to see my ugly face as well.
Looking forward to it. I'm sure it's
right,
not quite as bad as reported, but we shall find out. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That's debatable. All right, thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You have a good one.